Here in the heart of the city at the Lucy in the Sky cafe here, where lots of people, including us, have been enjoying our breakfast this morning. And we're joined on the panel by Leslie and Tony. Leslie, let's come to you first. I mean, Wes Streeting, the Shadow Health Secretary, on the interview list this morning, as well as Mark Harper. I mean, what kind of questions have you got? Do you want to put to those people?
I think basically we've got a huge waiting list in the people waiting for operations, and it's been mooted that they're going to use private hospitals to actually help reduce the waiting lists. And I thought that was something that the Labour Party were against, sort of this idea of privatising the health service, etc. And I was wondering how they square it with their basic principles.
I mean, for Mark Harper as well, the Transport Secretary, it's of course been a big week for the Conservatives, scrapping that second leg of HS2. I mean, what can Mark Harper answer for you?
Well, I think there's been a war against motorists, and you've got sort of Khan in London sort of crippling motorists who are elderly, who are sort of on lower incomes by you, Les. You've got Angela Rayner saying if Labour get in, she's going to spread it all over the country. I just wondered what their attitude is towards the motorists, and are they going to make life easier for people who are older and have got less money to play with?
I mean, Tony, former Labour member, for you, I mean, what questions have you got for Wes Streeting on the panel today?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about transport. I think a positive development in Liverpool in the last few days is the news that the Metro Mayor, Steve Rotherham, has said that the local authority will once again take control of bus franchises, which will mean that services can be standardised across the whole region. Whereas the ridiculous situation at the moment, and I feel this is a social care worker who has to go different places to work, where you can buy a ticket for one bus, it's not valid on another operator's service. So this will allow, and I think this could be a model for the whole of Britain, for towns and cities across Britain, that to once again look towards publicly owned bus services, or publicly controlled at least.
I mean, obviously here in Liverpool, at this party conference, Keir Starmer's going to be looking to set out his vision if Labour were to win the next general election. I mean, what could he say in the next few days that would persuade you to vote for him?
I think there's so many issues now, been mentioned about waiting list for the health service. There's also housing. This affects my family as well, living at overcrowded social housing. There's a long wait for any bigger accommodation. The area I live in Wavertree, there's so many properties as people die off where they're sold to outside property speculators. They're turned into multi-occupancy homes for students or from people outside the city, outside the country. So I just want to know really what the Labour Party would do to start building social housing again, or affordable housing in general for working people.
I mean, that's something that we're expecting to hear from, of course, Angela Rayner's speech today, a commitment to more affordable housing. Would that give you the trust back that you need to vote for Labour?
Well, we'd want some detail. We all know what form that will take. Will we get back to the days when a million houses a year were being built by Labour or Tory government, which was the case for maybe 30, 35 years after the war?
I mean, Leslie, what do kind of you make on what Angela Rayner could say today? What could she say maybe that would maybe steer you towards Labour?
I think some positive policies where the same policies seem to exist more than a week at a time. I think the problem is this flip-flopping, this sort of change in the mind all the time. So you don't really know which direction they're actually going in and whether they actually mean it.
I mean, as a voter, how do you feel? Do you feel that the main parties are an option for you now?
There's getting to be very little difference between them. I mean, somebody said to me, I heard rather recently, so comparing Rishi Sunak and Starmer and saying that they're like two middle managers. And you can imagine them running a sales meeting, but running the country, they don't sort of fill you full of confidence that they're dynamic, or they've got they've got everybody behind them. They both seem to be leading very divided, parties. The Labour are divided, the Conservatives are divided. There's no consensus really. There's not one shooting off in the right direction, you know, that you feel you could be towed along behind it.
Right, Leslie, Tony, thank you very much for joining us so far on the People's Panel this morning. Some big questions there for your guests today.